So I'm here today to talk about an API that Autodesk is building and the problem that it's trying to solve. So a lot of you guys are already in the design engineering space, and you probably have this frustration with design software and Autodesk in general. So the thing that I wanted to talk about, that I wanted to address today, is the interoperability of traditional design softwares. So, here's the About Me page. My name is Shiya Luo. I am a developer evangelist at Autodesk. I'm based in San Francisco, and I do have a Twitter handler. If you want to follow me, you'll get a lot of insights about what Autodesk is doing in terms of events and what APIs we're coming out with. Okay, so design and engineering tools are different for everybody. It's a different tool for everybody because it requires domain knowledge on the software side to build something that you want. And for example, it's Photoshop or Illustrator for visual and graphic designers because it's visual designing software. It's AutoCAD for interior designers. It's a Rhino, SolidWorks, or Fusion for industrial designers because they have to design this casing for their product. It's Revit for architects. So all these different software have different domain knowledge embedded in it, and it's a different kind of set of tool for everybody. So traditionally what would happen for these kind of design software is that the designer makes up a design, they send it over to their client, and the client needs to download a software to view the file. So the outputs are very proprietary formats. You got these OBJ or STL formats that are kind of generic, but you still need some kind of software just to open them up. It usually requires expensive software just to consume the files. For example, I am a web designer and web developer, and I don't do graphic design. So when I look for open source pictures to put on my website, I go and download the files. Sometimes they're in the form of PSD, that's a Photoshop. And I actually bought Photoshop just to view the file. And that's probably a different frustration for everybody. So, but we have a similar kind of frustration. There are universal formats out there. But there's a problem with universal formats. The problem is that they're extremely lossy. They often lose metadata like quantity, width, or height. Like if you export Revit into STL, there's a lot of things that you lose when you export. And if you render the image and show it to somebody, it's 3D into 2D. So all you're doing is basically a pretty image. You could have drawn it. You could have. You didn't have to draw a 3D model of this building. You could have done just a 2D drawing of it. It doesn't, to people that don't really know. So there's a software, there's a technology that just came into place maybe sometime last year that we think is helping us to solve this problem. It's called Webgl. So Webgl stands for Web Graphical Library. It's very similar to OpenGL. It's actually a JavaScript library that lets browsers render 3D. It's not a W3C standard. So for those who are not familiar with W3C, W3C is the organization that basically defines what the standards are for what HTML. Every browser supports WebGL now. It's not until maybe sometime late last year that Internet Explorer has stepped up in trying to support this technology. So I can say that every browser is supporting now. And the reason that we're not solving this problem earlier is because this wasn't an available technology before. It is a difficult technology to master. WebGL is a bit easier than OpenGL if you know a little bit. But you're basically coding to draw each geometry on the website, and it's very frustrating. So what happened is that Autodesk came out with a 3D 2D viewer. It's an API that all you basically do is you upload your CAD model with a REST API, and view it on the browser using a JavaScript API. And it's a beta product now, so it's free. And of course, the Revit models usually take a bit of it costs us a lot of money to translate, but for now it's all going to be free. So there's a few demos that I wanted to show. For example, this is not exactly AEC, but I just wanted to show the problem with today's 3D models and data formats. So this is a website from Herman Miller, and they're a premium chair company. They sell these $1,000 chairs. This is one of their products called Ariel. And whenever you go buy the product, you want to know how it looks like. So they have 20 different images rendered, or real images, about this product. You can see these are all rendering images, and they're 20 different colors and 20 different views, and so that you kind of have an idea of how it looks like in real life. And also you could download from their website the 3D model for it. See, this is exactly what the problem is. They generated 4 different kinds of file format, because people normally don't have any of if they just exported one file format, you might not have that software to open it. And they have 3ds Max, AutoCAD, SketchUp, and Revit, and 3 of these file formats are from Autodesk. So it doesn't make sense that to open one file, just to open one 3D file, and they're all from Autodesk. They have to generate all these 3D formats just for you to be able to view it. So to showcase this API, what I'm going to do is I'm going to download a SketchUp file real quick. And then here is a web app that we've built around this API, where I'm just going to drag and drop this SketchUp file. What it's going to do is that it's going to translate on the server, and it would be able to render it in the browser. So SketchUp, the only reason that all the 4 files in the list, here's the model. So what I basically did was that I dragged and dropped the file into the app that I just showed you guys. It's on the Autodesk homepage, so if you want to try and drag and drop your file. And okay, so the website is called 360.autodesk.com/viewer, and I'll give you guys a second to plug it in if you want to try. So it depends on the complexity of the model and the size the size of the file for it to translate. But the file that I did was just a chair, so it took like 10 seconds.
What compatibility do you guys have? Just Autodesk products and SketchUp, or?
There's a list that I'll show you later.
What are the limitations of file sizes?
There's not really a limitation. Really. We've translated, the biggest file we translated is a 2 GB Revit file, or they must have gotten even bigger. So I'll show you a few demos for that too. So, okay. With this API, it's not just a rendering or a pretty picture. I have a demo that I wanted to show where all the metadata from the Revit model actually goes into the translation and shows on the website. So this is a web app with 2 viewports, 2 viewers, and some metadata on the right hand side. And these the 2 sheets are connected with each other. So if I click on one of the things on the sheets, actually let me show search first. So you could search for the components on this sheet. So for example, if I search for door, all the doors are going to show up on this sheet. If I search for pipe, all the pipes are going to show up. And on the right hand side, what I can do is I can select by quantity or level of what each product or each items, how many quantities there are for for example, yeah, for type. So we can see that there are 315 pipes, 300 pipe fittings, and you can basically the generic metadata comes out from Revit will directly be translated from here to here. So, and then there's also bigger Revit models. So there's already a partner that's been building an app for this API. The website is called Building 360. It's basically a website that showcases architects' works, and it's just kind of a portfolio for architects. So I've already loaded up this model. It's really big. It's a theater. It's a stadium. So with our internet, this is about a gigabyte of JSON data. And I could do, and so it depends on what functionality you want to build around it. And so for this, they don't have a search bar in this. They don't want you to be able to search, but you could embed that in your viewer. So, okay, so this is a pretty big file, and so to test how big it is, we also have another website called lmv.rocks, where this is the biggest mechanical model that we have tried. So this model is gonna take a bit to load. It's gonna take a bit to load because of the internet, not because of the computer. Okay. So the significance of this model is that there's about, see here, it's about 2,000 meshes and over 2 million polys. So each poly is each geometry for the model. And we designed this API around as an engineering tool. So none of these shapes are optimized. They look the same in the design software and in the browser. So you can click on any of these things and basically zoom in on it. And oh, there's a feature that I really want to show. There's a mechanical model. Yeah, this one. So this is an inventor file, if you guys are familiar with inventor at all. And as a mechanical model, you really want to know what's inside for each of the components. So what you can do, there's the explode function where you can explode the model. And if you want to look at a component, just double click on it and we'll show you that component. I think this is really cool, so I don't know about you guys. And so that's about all my demos. The supported file formats, there's about 70 different supported file formats. We keep updating it. There's an API query that you can call to, and I don't know half of these formats. Some of them are fluff, like JPEG, but for example, the F3D is a Fusion file format. There's IFC, there's CATIA somewhere, there's OBJ, but so what basically happens is that we have all the different teams on the different Autodesk products, and they write the translation tool process that translate the data, and whatever each of the Autodesk software support will be able to support on the viewer. So for competitor products, competitor file formats, what basically happens is that it's, for example, some of the files is being translated in Navisworks. So it's being translated in Navisworks before getting translated into this viewer. That's how they implemented it for now, but for in the future, I don't know what the roadmap is going to be. So I have the rest of my slides is a workshop of how to implement this API in your browser. I don't think I have enough time today here in this presentation to talk about it, but if you need my help, I'll be around.
So if I push a file into this viewer, is there any way that somebody can pull it down?
So what happens is that it gets converted into a JSON file, and yes, they can kind of reverse engineer it, but it's similar to, for example, if you render 20 images of the file, chances are somebody is going to be able to open it to copy it somewhere, like for.
But not the original.
But not the original model, unless you give them the access to download the model. But it's very hard to reverse engineer that file format. So.
And we actually have offered it request. Some people want to access original design data. That's not possible.
Yep. Well, yeah, they could have also just download that file from the server. So what happens when you upload it? It gets uploaded into a bucket, and if you give that person the access to that bucket, basically give them your credentials, they'll be able to download it. But otherwise, they won't have access to the design data. Okay. Any other questions?
Can you start talking about how we can integrate this into our stack?
So this is basically a JavaScript API. So for example, if you have a desktop software, you want to embed a web view inside your program. But I would recommend trying it on the browser first, or on a website, and see how powerful it is, because it is like the one I showed. It's pretty smooth. So it people traditionally have this view about the browser that it's slower than a desktop software. It's not really like that anymore.
You are interested in finding out how to.
If you want to know how to do it, the slides that I have right now is a web link, so you can look at the rest. And there's a tutorial that you guys can go through, and the link is Autodesk with a dot before sk/3D tutorial.
It's really simple. And I actually made a kind of data and view API for dummies kind of thing. I'm calling myself a dummy. And if you go to the D360 view type path, you can find that this kind of this area is a little bit more advanced in a way that it's dive into for programmers. And then my side actually goes into more like people who are using architecture side. So in any case, if you go to developer.autodesk.com, you will get all the keys, and then you will get into a tutorial and a bunch of samples. And then I think we have almost covered most of the language as well.
Yeah, and
not just Microsoft technology, but other technologies as well.
And there's also a few different ways that you can start trying it out. So the website that I showed you here, the drag and drop, the links are all gonna be the links are all gonna be on in my slides. There's not only this drag and drop. If you use A360, there's an embed link that you can just embed it with an iframe, a line of code, and put that 3D model on your website. And yeah, we have a bunch of different galleries that we've built around this. There's also a Fusion gallery.
Fusion gallery creates this iframe copy and paste.
Yeah. So Fusion is a mechanical design product that Autodesk has just came out with recently, and if it says 3D model on the top right corner, I could click in there, and then
It's using the same viewer?
yep. So
Basically, this technology is a common platform technology for all the
Yeah.
Autodesk products. So
Yeah.
Fusion is using it, A360 using it, and then in the AEC side, like A360 collaboration for Revit. It's very dangerous. I always have to massage my mouth, but this one also using it. So if you have a collaboration for Revit, some shown, then you see this exact model in your among your collaboration environment.
So this is just the start of a development process, an effort trying to be able to have people be able to collaborate through with the same file. So what the roadmap for engineering in the entire company is that we're slowly going to be able to you'll be able to edit the file on your local computer, and it gets uploaded on the server, and any other person can just immediately see the changes. And sometimes it's multiple different softwares that open the same file as well. So it's some cool stuff, and we're really hoping that this will solve the problem. Well, actually, I think it is going to be, because so many companies are behind this technology. And we first only started trying to develop for Webgl because in the beginning only Chrome supported it, so it was only Google. And now Firefox, which is Mozilla, and Internet Explorer, which is Microsoft. And then last year, sometime in June, Apple have stepped up in iOS support. So I can actually open this up on the phone, on my browser, and view a file. So just open lmv.rocks. So, but this is cutting edge technology. It just came out like last year. So you have a better chance to use a phone that came out last year as well. And so it's iOS 8, which came with iPhone 6 and 6 Plus, and Android 5, which came out sometime last year as well.
But my old iPhone 4S also, at least the viewing portion it works.
Yeah, it's not guaranteed though, but it should work. If you have to upgrade it to the latest OS, but it should work. Okay, so the internet on my phone is just slow. So, yeah. And does anybody has any other questions?
Have you guys implemented the Google Cardboard into?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, do you want to show that real quick?
So there's actually two things that we did, two separate things. There's cardboard.autodesk.com, which it's done by the RAS team, rendering as a service. So these are all renderings. But if I have a phone with me, yeah. Oh, it's loaded. So for example, this model, and it supports touch as well. So I'm viewing this 3D model on my phone, and this is Safari on my phone, and you can open it with the Chrome as well. So VR, two things. There's cardboard.autodesk.com, and the other one, I believe there's a GitHub link called. So if you go to developer-autodesk.github.io, that's the portal where we put all the sample programs, and there's a VR experience I can click on, and if you have a phone with you, it connects to the gyroscope, and it would kind of move it with you. I actually didn't bring a dodo case with me, but I think somebody brought.
There's like 4 in here.
Okay, cool. So we'll be able to show this, and this is pretty cool.
So which website is that?
This, if you go to developer/autodesk.github.io. That's where all our sample apps are.
And this is voice activated as well, right?
Yeah. I think the commands are.
Explode and come together.
Yeah.
Jim, our director was shouting extra by the time doing
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
You can't put it together in a VR.
And this is the site that the Shiya is working on.
Yeah.
Right? You are the owner of this site.
Yeah, yeah. So if you find any bugs on the site, just tell me. Or not. Okay.
Any questions?
Any
And
other-
I have to say, he was already playing. Already uploaded immediately.
I just tried uploading SolidWorks file, but it didn't seem to like it.
Really?
What?
Just
It's supposed to
display
work.
nothing.
So I'll look at it later. There's some compatibility.
It's supposed to work. We want to be a system administrator.
The VR stuff is only web, right?
Yeah.
You don't have it on C#, it's JavaScript.
Yeah, it's JavaScript. So it's from loader again.
If something doesn't work, let us know.
Yeah.
Because we want to, live peacefully with everybody.
So if anything, well, Revit model is the one that's most difficult to translate because of its size and complexity and the efficiency of the translator. But once you have it translated, the data, the JSON data is being stored online, and you don't have to translate it again. So once it's translated, well, you can load it up whenever you want. It's not gonna take forever. Okay, cool. Any other questions?
So before somebody asks questions, I got this question every once in a while. So we can handle, this one handles RBT file, edit file, project file, but
Not
you
Revit family.
Yeah, family one you cannot. The
Yeah.
family is a little bit more complicated. It's not just drag and drop and see one model. It's about parametric, right? You have types and things. So it's the one we have as like a design priority issue, but
Yeah.
it's supposed to be coming.
It's coming, but we just don't know how far it is down the
I
roadmap.
actually tried to
But-
have a temporary workaround scenario or something by end of June or something, but it's a little bit more complex. As you try to go in, I'm finding a little bit more complexity. So. But if you are a developer, then you may work around by the temporarily putting into a project file and then uploading and things like that.
So I have a question, back to the VR thing. So
Yeah.
are you guys using any of the WebVR and Chromium or the Firefox Nightly builds to work with the Oculus and things like that?
Somebody is working on it. Yeah, somebody's working on it. So, but I just don't know when it's gonna come out. I'm not the person who's working on it. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay.